What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to analyze the tape of left tackle Anthony Belton out of NC State. This is a guy that I think could be one of the elite offensive linemen out of this class. Now, we're not 100% sure if he's a starting left tackle in the NFL or a starting interior offensive lineman, but one of the things we do know is this guy's going to end up being really good. At 6'5.5", 34-inch arms, 340 pounds, you just don't get movement from guys that big the way you do out of Anthony Belton. Now, I'll be the first to tell you guys, as a left tackle, I think he could definitely work out and still end up being really good. But I think there's a chance he projects as a guard, and I think as a guard, pretty much day one, he's going to be an elite guard, right? I think Anthony Belton is going to be on that Tyler Smith trajectory. Right? The Cowboys left guard is a phenomenal player. He's arguably the best guard in the NFL, and he's one of the most dominant guards as well. And I think Anthony Belton kind of has that in his game as well, where he physically dominates people, he physically overpowers people. And the tape does not lie, right? You can put the tape on with Belton, and he's oftentimes dominating. He's oftentimes crushing people. But more than that is the technique that he plays with. And today we're going to talk about some of that technique. We're going to talk a little bit about what this guy does with his hands as he kind of gets his hands on guy. Some of the timing and the striking, how he lands his hands is also really nice. And again, left tackle, interior offensive lineman. I think individual teams will rank this guy differently. But I am confident to say Anthony Belton will be a very good NFL offensive lineman. With that being stated, I want to get into it and talk a little bit about Belton's ability within pass protection. I want to talk a little bit about how he gets his hands on guys, because there's so many examples where he lands his hands perfectly and just straight up anchors down. He straight up uses that power. He's able to shut people down. And a part of what he does is going to be the hands and kind of how he strikes guys and kind of how they land. His right hand generally lands to the inside chest. Left hand lands on the left shoulder pad, and that allows him to anchor down. And again, he has really good footwork and movement, so he's able to mirror and stay in front of guys as well. And I also think in terms of development, there's not a whole lot that Anthony Belton has to continue to get better at. When you look at some of the fundamentals on tape, he does a lot of things right. So there's not a lot of coaching points where you're going to have to say, hey, this guy has to clean up X, Y, and Z, because he does a really good job within that technique. Now, I want to go ahead and show you guys some of the plays where Anthony Belton does a really nice job against pass pro, specifically against Tennessee. As you guys know, the Volunteers have a ton of really good defensive linemen. James Pierce Jr. should be a first-round pick, potentially a top 10 pick. And you're going to get Anthony Belton going up against him here in a true one-on-one situation. And he's going to do a really nice job. So 3rd and 6, he does a great job getting the hands on Pierce, just riding him upfield. I think he gets out of his stance a little late here based off of what we kind of see. I'm going to slow it down so it's a little bit easier to see, but keep an eye here on Belton. He's swiveling his head outside, inside, and as he looks inside, the ball gets snapped. So he's a little late out of his stance. But he does a nice job recovering within this. Really good job being able to get out there, get his hands on Pierce. And you can see Pierce is trying to set this up with some sort of speed move, right? He almost fakes to the inside a little bit right here. Belton does not fall for it. Belton just stays on top of it. Great job getting the hands to the inside and just riding Pierce upfield, right? Allowing the quarterback to have that pocket, potentially step up if he wants to. Just a really nice job here by Belton, just be able to just kind of stay on top of it. But you guys, check this next rep out here. Belton's going to end up going up against Elijah Simmons, 350-pound nose tackle. There's a chance that Simmons does end up getting drafted, but this guy is just a pure bull rusher. He's pure power. And you're going to see Belton really drop that anchor. Also keep in mind, Simmons is about 6'2.5". So he's about 3 to 4 inches shorter than Anthony Belton. And look at him try to lift up Belton as he kind of gets out of his pass rush here. And look at him try to lift him up, and Belton does a really nice job readjusting and dropping the anchor. To me, just a really good job to be able to drop that anchor, get to the inside of him, and just kind of shut it down. Again, power rusher. A guy that's going to be shorter than Belton, but Belton still is able to drop the anchor. To me, it's a really nice job right there going up against him. You're going to get a physical rep here by Belton on James Pierce Jr. Pierce does end up getting chipped, which I think influences him a little bit towards the inside by the running back. It's a good rep by Belton to be able to essentially flip Pierce and toss him into the ground. But it's not a good rep because you're tossing him into the quarterback, right? So if he's able to, if he flips him and kind of tosses him here, that's a nice little hip toss almost. It's a pretty nice job right there, but you don't want to throw him into your quarterback, right? So you got to do a little bit of a better job if you're Belton. But again, like the physicality, like the toughness, Pierce Jr. top 10 pick. And Belton's trying to throw his ass. And sometimes that's the mindset you want at your starting offensive lineman, right? You want that physicality. You want guys that can anchor, guys that are not scared of contact, not scared of guys that might be, top 10 picks potentially or whatever. To me, that's a good job right there by Belton to kind of set the physicality. Also, one of the things you're going to notice with Belton is he uses a lot of advanced techniques, and I kind of already alluded to that earlier. Here's an example of that. Now, on this one here, do note he's the backside guy of a screenplay. But I also want you guys to note that he's essentially going to slingshot this guy upfield. Right, so this is just a smart play here by Belton, understanding the situation. You know, he has a guy on the inside shoulder, and his job within this play is essentially to cut this guy off. The left guard has to get up here to the linebacker, make sure he doesn't get over the top. And there's two ways you can make sure this guy does not beat you to the front side and blow this play up. Right, again, it's a screen to the right, so this guy naturally is going to want to chase this play down the line of scrimmage. But the way you can defeat this block is to either reach in front of him, or you can slingshot him on the back side of him. Which I like this as well, right? I prefer the slingshot technique. It's just easier. And he tries getting a 2-for-1 as well, right? So it's smart by him to not only influence this guy upfield, but then he's trying to make contact and lock in with this next guy, right? So again, so good job by Belton to kind of show that technique a little bit. You will see some more slingshots and those type of things with Belton's tape if you watch enough of it. He's also a good processor. And, you know, we're going to switch and get into some of the other games as well. But I like watching games where it's a offensive lineman against the best defensive line, right? And I think Tennessee has the best defensive line that these guys went up against, right? Although I know James Pierce as well as Omar Norman Law, I think it's number 55 right here. Although those are the two guys that are going to get drafted this year, there's other guys that'll be drafted next year or the year after as well. Again, we will get into some other games as well, but really, really smart, good processor. You see the advanced technique on tape. He'll even snatch guys downwards, right? He'll remove that leverage. Here's an example of that. He's going to be going up against the Syracuse defensive end, and you're going to see him snatch down the arm of the defensive end. And it comes off camera, so you can't really see it. But he's going to utilize the snatch move with the right hand. Now, this is not a full-on snatch where you utilize the double hand snatch. This is different. This is essentially being locked in with the guy, and then you use one hand to snatch down. When a guy gets his hands to the inside, you can switch it up as an offensive tackle and use different moves to remove leverage. Single hand snatch is one of them, so it's a good job right there to show off the advanced technique. I'll just go to the other camera angle and see if you guys can see it a little bit better from this angle. So again, just doing a good job to remove the leverage, right? It allows you to win as you're locked in with the guy and allows you to kind of just anchor down. All right, so nice job right there. Let's get into the next snap. All right, guys, check this next one out. Once again, Belton's going to snatch down the defensive end. It's hard to see it this time, but we will slow it down so it's a little bit easier and quicker to see. So you'll see that Belton's going to end up getting long arm by number 44. Long arm is a power-based move. Left hand's going to land underneath towards that right chest plate of Belton, kind of underneath the armpit area. And Belton is going to react with the right arm. And he's going to snatch it down right there. Whenever you get long arm, the way to beat the long arm is to snatch. And again, it's a single hand snatch, and that's going to remove that leverage that number 44 has. You can see it right there. Ends up swiping the hand down. So once again, good job by Belton to utilize the advanced technique to be able to beat the defensive end that's trying to beat you with the long arm move. Again, just being smart and aware of how to win in different pass rushing scenarios, right? When a guy tries to long arm you, you snatch that down. When a guy's on the inside of you, you can slingshot him if he's the backside cutoff that you have to get to. There's so many moves that pass rushers try to do, and Belton understands how to counter a lot of these, right? And again, it's a part of the mental aspect of why I really like Belton's tape and why I think he's going to potentially be a really, really good offensive lineman in the NFL. Now, as a run blocker, I also think Anthony Belton is very, very solid. Again, he's very strong. He's very physical at the point of attack. And there's a lot of plays like this where he does a good job not only climbing and kind of getting into the gap he needs to, but then you see that movement on tape. And we're going to get into the all-22 angle here because it's a little bit easier. But notice as Belton makes contact with the linebacker, just look at the movement that he's going to generate. That movement that he's generating, right, to make contact with the linebacker and take him 5, 10, 15 yards in any given direction is really, really impressive. And this is something you're going to see a ton on tape with Belton. The guy just physically moves people at the point of attack. But it's not just moving people, it's getting to your actual block. Like on this one here, he has a cutoff block on number 35, that linebacker, and he sets himself up perfectly on this play. To me, this right here is part of what makes Belton a good offensive lineman. Now this play is going to be an inside zone concept, which means Belton here has to take an inside angle on number 35 and get to the inside of him. And he's going to do literally just that. As soon as he gets out of his stance here, nice job stepping inside. Does a really nice job taking that angle to get to the inside of 35. And he sets himself up perfectly to the inside of 35. Now the running back could hit this right into this gap if he wants to. You do see the safety kind of come downhill. So the running back ends up cutting it over here to the left. But Belton does his job, right? He's going to get to the block that he's essentially assigned to, which is all you can kind of ask of an offensive lineman. Get to your block, cut a guy off if that's your responsibility. And all of this is why I really, really like this guy. And of course, he's a people mover, so down blocks, front side zone blocks, he moves people at the point of attack, right? He knows what he's doing in terms of that leverage and the ability to move people. Here's an example of where he's on the front side of a zone run. And one of the things you have to do on the front side as an offensive tackle is you got to push your guy upfield. You got to seal him out, but you also have to create some movement. One of the primary ways to stop inside zone is for your front side defensive end to make contact with this offensive tackle and not allow him to gain any movement. Think about this. If the defensive end sets the edge here and there's no movement, the DN locks in with the left guard, there's no movement there. The running back's not going to have a lane. He's going to essentially just run into a bunch of bodies right here. So with that, the running back has to bend this back towards the inside, and of course, that's why you have Chase on the backside of zone runs. But it really starts with that front side defensive end, which means as an offensive tackle, you need to move that guy out of there. You need to make contact with him and push him as far to the left as you can. And you see Anthony Belton just straight up move people. The physicality this guy comes out of his stance with, the physicality at the point of attack. I mean, look at that aggressiveness, that physicality, that power. To me, it was really, really good job right there. And from the time he makes contact with this guy, relative to the hash mark here, look at how far he's going to move this guy. He moves him about 7 yards to the left. And because he moves this guy, that's going to create that lane. And this is a part of why I think he's going to be such a good offensive lineman in the NFL. And if he plays interior offensive line specifically, I think he's going to be one of the best guards in the NFL pretty much day one. I mean, this guy has it. Sometimes it's just really, really easy to be able to see it with some of these guys. And with Belton, you definitely see it. The guy's a dominant football player, however you look at it. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up getting drafted. I'll be honest with you guys, I think he's a first round pick. But there's a chance he doesn't go in the first round. If there's a chance that someone's going to end up getting a steal in round 2 or 3. One of the things with guards is teams don't generally value guards very high. But I do think Anthony Belton's a little bit different because he could play tackle and he can have success at that tackle position. But we'll see what ends up happening. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this is the first time you guys are on this channel, do consider subscribing. We will be covering Anthony Belton as he gets into the NFL. And we will definitely be following him over the course of his career. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time with another video.